The episode today is going to be personal and really emotional for me. I'm going to share some things with you today that I haven't shared with any outside my family. It's January 2025, and I'm standing in the bathroom at my mother's house, looking down into the toilet, and it's full of blood. Welcome to the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, the largest and longest running health and fitness podcast dedicated to people over 40. Whether you're looking to lose weight, get stronger, or improve your health and age better, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Coach Allan, an online health and fitness coach and author of The Wellness Roadmap. Each week, we dive into practical tips, expert advice, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your health and fitness. If you're ready to look, feel, and perform your best, no matter your age, this podcast is the perfect place to start. Let's get you on the path to a healthier, fitter, and more energetic version of yourself. I hope you'll join us each week, and together we can unlock your full potential. Hello, and welcome to the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast. I'm Coach Allan, your host. I'm really glad you're here. Today, the episode today is going to be really personal and really emotional for me. I haven't told some folks outside of family what actually was going on, and so I'm going to share some things with you today that I haven't shared with anyone outside my family. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I think this is the best way for you to understand how this process works, and because I've lived it. But beyond that, things are going well. I actually have my first immunotherapy appointment scheduled for next week. Tammy is coming home from her birthday trip. And so hopefully for about the next 4 or 5 weeks, we will have some semblance of normal in our home together with our dogs at Lula's in Bocas del Toro. So looking forward to something that's more of a semblance of normal than what we've had for the past year and a half. But that said, I do want to share this story, so let's jump right into it. It's January 2025, and I'm standing in the bathroom at my mother's house, and I'm looking down into the toilet, and it's full of blood. Now, I can't really tell you where my headspace was at that point in time because it's just not something you think you'll see or want to see, but it was a toilet full of blood. My mother had passed the month before, and I'm there in North Carolina, separated from my wife. I'm trying to get her affairs in order, and it's becoming apparent day by day that this is not going to be a simple thing with family, with all the stuff that's going on in her life. It was going on in my mother's life, and all the stuff there was to do, and dealing with a state through the government. It was clear this was not going to be a straightforward process. My wife was back home, running Lula's by herself, taking care of the dogs, all of that. And this was during our peak time. And literally, this was probably one of the best Januaries we ever had. I'm guessing I should probably go away more often, but she'll tell you no. At any rate, because I was in the United States, we're two households. It's getting pretty expensive. We're spending a lot of money to do this, to fly back and forth. And I am just feeling it. The stress in my chest. What is this? What can I do? I'm running off the rails. And here's the cut. I'm a health and fitness coach. This is what I do. This is how I help people. I keep things from like this from happening. At least I thought I did. And it kind of put me in this place where my head was thinking, okay, look, I'm a coach. I can figure this out. And I literally said to myself, I've got this. I'll figure this out. And I didn't think I needed anything. I didn't think I needed anybody. And flat out wrong. So when we start thinking about the things that we need in our lives to get moving, to do things, I mean, we're going to get beat down. We're going to be pushed. Things are not always going to go our way. There really is no normal. Sometimes there's a new normal, but things are always going to change. That's the one absolute. And the thing I hear over and over and over when someone's not doing the things that they should be doing is, I lack the motivation. Now, the thing I'll tell you this is, that's the wrong way to think about motivation. Motivation is not some magic thing that you either have or don't have. And it's not some fairy that shows up and says, poof, here I am, the motivation fairy. I'm here to grant all your wishes. You actually have to earn motivation. And I know that can sound kind of backwards, but hear me out. Most of us, when we start something, we find ourselves quitting. And you've, like me, probably started and stopped many, many times in the past. And I'll affectionately refer that to as week 3. And week 3 isn't, you're not quitting during week 3 because you're lazy. You're not quitting at week 3 because you're broken. You're quitting because you started the journey in the wrong place. Like me, you said, I've got this. And you stepped into this activity, and yes, initially you were gung-ho, but by week 3, that wears off, the willpower fades, and we quit. And it happens over and over and over. It's basically a loop. And for the rest of this conversation, I'll call it the 3-week loop. Okay? And the thing is that you need to understand about all this is, there's a system that can help you. It's not you. You're just using the wrong systems. And we're going to talk through a system starting today that will help you find motivation and keep it for as long as you need it. Now, if you haven't listened to this podcast before and you're listening, I want to put a couple things out there. I'm a human being just like you. I deal with problems and things. That's why I talk a little bit about my life at the beginning of these things, and I'll be talking about myself a lot today. I don't usually do that, but I am going to talk a lot more about myself today because I think it's important for you to hear the lesson, understand that I've lived the lesson, and know where I'm coming from. I've been a health and fitness coach now for almost 11 years. I have published, this is episode 750 of this podcast with a couple bonus episodes thrown in there. That's over 750 episodes. I have interviewed over 485 experts in the field of health and fitness. And so I know, and again, working with clients, I've put those things into practice for them, with them, and I've seen it work. So I kind of got this, okay? Now, despite having all of that, I'm human. And so I did the thing that a lot of us do is I'm like, okay, I got this. I want this. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to do it. My credentials, my knowing what to do, my getting started, none of that mattered because the week 3 loop happened again and again. Now, you might be saying, okay, I'm hearing this, but I'm not really ready to start a fitness regimen right now. I'm busy. We're always busy. But it's June. And the reality is you probably have started and stopped at least a couple times this year. Most of us will go into January with our January resolution, and we'll say, okay, I got it. And then what do we find ourselves? Week 3, loop, done. And we're out. Now, some people will try again. Loop 3, out. Okay. So June is, and this is June, Men's Health Month. This is the best month, the best time to start. Okay. Now, with this loop, I want to go into a little bit more detail about what this loop is, because it's not just quitting. If it were just quitting, then the restart would be really easy. But what happens is we start and then we quit. Week 3, almost always week 3. And because we quit, we begin to feel shame. And that shame talks us out of all of it. We start using words like, I'm a failure. I can't do this. Now's not a good time. I was wrong. And we don't restart right away. So there's a gap and we lose months. Now, in a normal sense of things, losing months wouldn't be a big deal, except as we're getting older, there's sarcopenia, there's osteopenia, there's general decline that comes with aging if we aren't doing the things. We know this, but we don't do this. Okay, so we have to break that 3-week loop. If we don't break the 3-week loop, we will keep repeating it and we'll keep taking these breaks to restart later, only to repeat the process again. So really, we've got to get past the shame and we've got to get past the start. We've got to figure out a better way to start. So again, I'm going to repeat this. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not any of the words that nasty voice in your head likes to say when it comes down to quitting. You're none of those things. The point of what you need is you just need to understand that motivation takes a little bit of effort. It takes a little bit of planning. It takes a little bit of a lot of things, but it's an action-based thing. It's not a hope or wish. You've got to do something to be ready and have the motivation that you need to make it through the 3 weeks and keep going forward. Because things will get hard. And so if you don't quit at week 3, good. That's awesome. Now you're going to see some real progress. That usually is enough to start moving people forward. But something changes, something happens, and boom, you're on your butt again. Can you get up, restart right away, get on that horse, as they say, and ride on? Okay, now I'm going to talk about a model that I use with my clients to help them get this motivation. And I call it the motivation map, okay? And it's a picture. It's actually a JPEG that I built to have the conversation. And I've had the conversation many, many times, and I'm okay at explaining to you how it looks. But if you really want to get a good visual and you really want to get benefit from this episode, go ahead and click on that pause button and go to 40plusfitness.com/stick, STICK, 40plusfitness.com/stick. Now, what this is going to do is let you download a document. It's a 2-part document that will help you get this started. Now, we're going to talk about the motivation map today, and then I have another open episode 2 weeks from now, episode 752, where I'm going to talk about the second part of that document. So go ahead and hit pause, go to 40plusfitness.com/stick, get that document and be looking at, not if you're driving, but get that, or running, I guess, but get that document so you can kind of scan over and look at the motivation map. And I think this conversation will be a lot easier for you to follow. But I'm going to do my best to talk about it in a way that you'll visualize it yourself if you don't have it in front of you. But better to download it. So pause. 40plusfitness.com/stick. Okay, welcome back. Um, okay, so I'm going to give you a quick and dirty little overview of what that document should look like, what the image should look like when you're looking at the motivation map. Okay, I want you to think there are two columns, and these are the two columns that are the source of motivation. Now, one side, the left side, is extrinsic. Now, extrinsic is outside of us. And another way of saying this in the terms of what we're doing here with motivation is this is about accountability. Okay? The right side, right column of this image is intrinsic. That's inside of you. Okay? And what that means from a motivation perspective is it's called self-efficacy, meaning you can do the thing. So extrinsic accountability and intrinsic self-efficacy. Those are the two columns. Now, each of these two columns is broken into two roles. The top role is the leader role, and the bottom role is the social role. And the reality is all four of those boxes have a say and a play in whether you stick with this, whether motivation becomes permanent or not. It's a decision that you make at the beginning of where you're going to start. Now, I'm going to get into this a little bit deeper, but as you start looking at this, I want you to think in terms of the left column, which is accountability. That's the easy one. It's fast, it's easy. Okay, you can basically at the leader level, you can hire a coach, or you can join a group with your peers. That's the social level. So I can hire a coach to help me and keep me on track, on task, and I can join a group that's going to keep me motivated and make it fun. Okay, now that part is easy and fast, but it's sort of like rented. It's rented. Okay, it's almost never permanent, and we'll get into that in a minute. Now, on the right column, this is the durable side. Okay, this is where we're building something deeper, and in the self-efficacy part, we're building over there what's inside of us. We're starting self-management. Now, what a lot of people don't know about management is we spend most of our time waiting for something to break. Okay, so something breaks, and now what do we have to do? We have to figure out how to fix it and how to keep it from happening again. That's no different. When you're self-managed, you're looking at the things that are going on and you're doing things to make it work better. Now, this can take a couple different ways, but the way I like to think about it is what would make what I'm doing easier? I want to do this thing. How do I make it easier? So I'm going to reduce friction from doing the thing. So it doesn't do me any good to have a gym that's 60 minutes away from my house. I'm not going to go there and work out on a regular basis because I don't want to spend 2 hours commuting to a gym. I'm going to be able to remove friction if I sign up for a gym that's closer to my house. I can remove additional friction if I build my own home gym. Those are solutions. They might not be the right solution, but they are reductions of friction to getting your workout done. Then you start talking about the things that'll trip you up. So you come home and there's snacks sitting on the counter, and it's just really hard not to grab one of those cookies. They look good. Having the snacks is a trigger for you to eat bad, and you don't want to do that. So we can remove those cookies. We can tell everyone, the kids, the spouse, look, let's put these in the cupboard. Please don't leave them on the counter, out of sight, out of mind. Or we can just remove them entirely if we don't have to have them. You know, again, situational, which solution is the best? But that adds friction to doing the things you don't want to do. So you see how self-management allows us to start doing the tactics and the strategies that'll move us forward. Too many people like to start there. Now, they are durable, but if you start right there and you just don't have the willpower to stick with it and keep doing it, week 3 loop. And that's, again, what's happening is most of us are trying to start in that quadrant, and we're not ready. We don't have the support. We're not guided. We're not being held accountable, and it's just too easy to pick up a package of cookies and bring it home. It's too easy to just start skipping the drive right by that gym on the way home from work because you just don't feel it. And now, boom, week 3 loop, we've quit and we feel the shame. So I hope that helped to kind of give you an idea of what this overall thing looks like. Okay. Again, if you're looking at it, the image, it's probably going to make a lot more sense, but that's the basic gist. So I just said earlier that if you're going to start, you want to start on the left side. Okay. And here's the real reason why. Not that, because there are people who can white knuckle it. I've seen it happen. Here's the tactic. Here's a strategy. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And boom, they just do it. Most of us are not that person. That's the outlier. That's the person who has something wired in them that's quite different than the rest of us. So we don't want to just do what other people can do. We want to do what we can do. And so let's start by talking about the left side of the motivation map, and that's accountability, and that's extrinsic. So what I can do is I can hire a coach. And I have, and I do. I have a business coach. I have business coaches. I have had fitness coaches. Even though I'm a health and fitness expert, I rely on coaches to hold me accountable. And the cool thing is, most of the coaches that I pick and you would pick, well, they already have a playbook. They already know some of the things that would work for you. If you've picked a good coach, basically they're reducing, if not eliminating, the trial and error. Okay, this has worked for most of my clients. What are your thoughts? Sure. So they write you a resistance training program. They give you some guidance on how much protein to eat and other things you can do to enhance your effort in the gym. So they're providing that guidance. When you're struggling, they're providing support. But the most important thing that coach is doing at a leader level is holding you accountable. In effect, it's the boss standing over you saying, hey, where's my TSR report? And so you're going to do it because, again, you do not want to let your coach down, and you're being held accountable, which is valuable. That's what's going to keep you a little bit more motivated. I don't want to get not yet necessarily yelled at, maybe yelled at, depending on the type of coach you pick, but I don't want my coach highlighting that I'm not doing the thing I told them I would do. So the coach can play a very good role in getting you started right, keeping you engaged, and holding you accountable and making sure you have the support you need. That's a big piece of this that a lot of us skip and go straight to strategies and tactics. That's why we fail at week 3. You sign a contract with a coach, you're probably not going to quit at week 3. Just saying. Now, peers and groups. Now, a lot of people will say that peer pressure is bad. We've been conditioned to say, okay, well, why did you start doing that? Well, peer pressure. It's the peers you choose, okay? If you choose better peers, then peer pressure is brilliant. It's accountability at a new level, a level that you really care about. Why? Well, one, peers make this more fun. If we're in a group class, I'm going to enjoy myself spending time with them, talking to them, socializing with them, which is a really important aspect for health and fitness we often ignore. So I'm getting that added benefit, and I'm getting a workout, and I don't want to necessarily have them see me dragging butt. I want to, I don't, it's not that I need to show out. The ego can be the problem, but it's that I don't want to let them down. I want to show what I'm capable of doing. I want them to see me pushing. That's going to help them and make them want to push harder. We all help each other. And that accountability is very, very important and literally makes this work. Because if I have a good coach and I have good group and peers, I have all of the accountability I need across every platform possible. There's no reason for me to not want to do this. I want to spend time with my friends. I want to do what my coach says. I want to motivate them as much as they're motivating me. So I show up and I keep doing the thing. Okay. So accountability is the best way to start. Build accountability first and then start. But always remember, accountability is rented. It's not permanent. It's not durable. And I'll tell you a little story to kind of help you understand that. I had a new client. She came in and we started talking about what she was going to do and how she would stay accountable to it. And she said to me, I want to walk 3 times per week with my sister. We've agreed we're going to meet up each afternoon, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we're going to go for a 30-minute walk. I'm like, cool. So I'm tracking her along. She's doing okay. And then week 3, it actually was week 3, she stops doing it. She didn't do it on Monday, and she didn't do it on Wednesday. And so I messaged her on Wednesday, and I said, hey, Wednesday night, I said, hey, I noticed that you didn't log your walks. And her response back to me was, it was hilarious, because she said, my sister turned her ankle, so I can't walk. That was her email response. She literally wrote that out. And I was like, oh my God. It was a week 3 quit because the accountability she built on a social level was not strong enough. It failed, which it can. Groups break up, groups don't show up, things get bad, people quit. You can have a workout partner for years and then suddenly he moves away or she moves away and now you got nobody. So it's good to have the coach and have the peers, because the next week, Friday and starting the next week, I got her back on task, doing it by herself until her sister's ankle healed. Her doing it encouraged her sister to come back out before too long. She had her week 3 quit loop, and she went back because she saw her sister continuing to do the thing that they agreed they would do. That's powerful. But again, it's rented, because if that person doesn't stand up for you, then you've lost it. If that group isn't there, you've lost it. And no one thinks in terms of hiring a coach for the rest of my life. So you do need to start working over to the other side, which is the self-efficacy side. But the short answer is start with accountability. Try to build on both levels if you can do it, and then you move forward from there. So the core message I want to take away from this little section here is that, needing help takes strength. Asking for help takes strength. It's not a weakness. It's just what you need to do to get to the next level, to get past the quit, to stay motivated. Okay? So step into that. Now, a lot of us, again, are taught to do this on our own, that we're taught to be capable. Some boomers on this are listening to this, some ex-gen are listening to this, and probably a few millennials. But most of us in this 40-plus range, we're conditioned as kids to be very self-sufficient, to do things on our own. I was definitely the feral kid. I was, and you see all the little memes of what ex-gen is all about. Well, that's pretty much my life story. So, when you look at me and my story, here I am trying to figure out what's going on with blood in the toilet. I know I'm stressed. I know I'm pressured. I know I'm pushed, probably harder than I had been in a long, long time. And I was stuck because I had to solve this problem, and it was keeping me from doing anything else positive for myself. And that's a problem. So I want to pick up that timeline. Obviously, blood in the toilet, a lot of blood in the toilet, is not something you want to see. But I wanted to fix this. I wanted to figure this out. I got this, right. So I ordered some labs. It's pretty cool today. You can just go in and go to a lab and go online or whatever, schedule it. But basically, get most of the basic labs done that you would need to go to the doctor. And so I did that. I also kind of had a feeling maybe this was blood pressure related. And so I went and got a blood pressure monitor. And the reality is, yes, my blood pressure was off the charts high. So I booked in with a doctor and got on some medication for the blood pressure. But the other side of it was I just didn't feel like lifting weights was going to help my blood pressure in the short run. So I took a break. I said, I'll stop because leg pressing and squatting and all the other stuff, pushing myself in the gym with a lot of weight probably isn't going to help this blood pressure right now. I can do it later. So I quit, moved away. Okay. The blood pressure medication we got kind of got me a little bit closer to control. Wasn't quite there, but I'm like, okay, it's time. And I joined the gym again. I joined a gym again. And the bloody toilets started again. So I quit working out. I quit that gym. Flash forward to October. My blood pressure seems to be closer to in control. It's not optimal, but it's closer. And it's been that way for a good little bit of time. I'm feeling pretty good about it. So I go back to the gym. And it happened again. More bloody toilets. Okay, so I kept pressing through. I stopped training again, and then I pressed through. I got my mother's estate closed in November. I came home to Bocas in December, and at this point, I was spending time with my wife and my dogs, and just happy to be home and happy for that chapter of my life to be over. But this bloody toilets, high blood pressure thing was not really resolved. And so I went and saw a local doctor here. We had some conversations. In January, on her recommendation, I went and got an ultrasound. Little fun story there is the doctor's doing the ultrasound, and he's doing one on my right side, and then he reaches over, he's on my left side, and he spent a little bit more time on the left side than he did on the right side, and I could just tell from the mood he was not liking what he saw. Now my record with ultrasounds was the last time that I saw one. I was around one was when Becca was right before Becca was born. We would take my wife in at the time, my first wife, in to get ultrasounds to look at the baby. And so this one, when he was doing the ultrasound, I says, is it a boy or a girl? And it was a joke. He didn't laugh because, again, he saw the mass on my kidney, and it was big. So I get approval from insurance. I go back in February. I get a CT scan, and it confirms that it is really big. It is taking up most of my kidney and probably getting blood flow. And because of the size of it and everything else, it was obvious that we needed to remove that kidney from my body. So in March of that year, I had a radical nephrectomy. So they removed my left kidney. And then, the pathology came back clean, which means that they don't feel like they missed any of it when they were cutting it out. Now I can say, flash forward to recently, I had a PET scan, and it does appear that that's where it stopped. So effectively, my kidney cancer made it to stage 3, and there was no spread. I will be going forward to get some immunotherapy treatments. That's going to last about a year. Not cheap and not easy, but something I need to do. My doctor is holding me accountable. He's a wonderful oncologist, kind of just a cool guy. He's holding me accountable. We're setting appointments, we're having conversations, and I'm showing up. Again, accountability. My wife is kind of my social thing. People here on the island and people that have listened to the podcast, they've reached out. It's been kind of overwhelming and a little emotional, but the core of it is this: I have people in my life that care about me, and I don't want to let them down. So I am stepping up. I want to be there for my wife. I want to be there for my kids. My why is very, very strong. So those things, my doctor and my wife, are my social structure, my accountability that I'm going to use throughout this process. And so I've built the accountability of those four quadrants. Okay, now, so what am I doing on the intrinsic side? Because hey, Allan, you gotta figure this all out. Well, I've always thought of myself as the coach, and I am a coach. So what is a reasonable thing? We'll get some advice and figure out what I do living with one kidney. Okay, so it means that I've had to somewhat re-engineer the food I eat, the activities I do, the stress I feel, and just watching my biomarkers. I check my blood pressure a couple times every day. I get labs done regularly. I'm constantly monitoring and looking, and I'm doing things to try to just make it easier. Now, I am pushing outside my comfort zones with my training. I am pushing outside my comfort zones with nutrition, because again, the better I am at those things, the better I know I'm going to be as a human. But I'm not over pushing. I'm just a tad outside of my comfort zone. And that's the key to self-management. What's going to help me get there? Then I need to reduce friction, make that easier to do. What's going to make it harder for me to do the things I don't want to do? And I got to put some blocks in there to add friction for that. So it becomes easier and easier and easier for me to do the things that I'm supposed to do to take care of myself and hit all of my goals. Now, I already kind of had the identity of I am a health and fitness coach. I kind of lost that, to be honest with you, this last year. Maybe I'm not worthy. Maybe I don't get it because I got cancer. How did I get cancer? I obviously don't know anything. Again, that internal voice, that self-talk was just beating the crap out of me, and I let it. I let it. Then I got some things resolved, and I am pushing forward, and I am walking the walk. And so what's happening now is I'm beginning within the values and habits, which is the social level of intrinsic, I'm beginning to identify again as a healthy person. I'm beginning to identify again as the health and fitness coach. And really, I've been there, I've done it. I mean, I've lived through this experience. It was not pretty, it was not easy, but here I am at this point, and I'm looking up, and I'm going to get better. Okay. So we talked about the accountability, and some people, they hire a coach or they join a group and they still quit. And so maybe you might be thinking accountability just doesn't work because I don't care what those people think. Well, if that's what you've done, then accountability alone probably isn't the total answer for you. Like I said, it's rented. If you rent a crappy apartment, you're not going to be happy with it, and you're not going to want to be there. So what we need to do is we just need to figure out, again, what part of the right side should we be working on first to make the accountability make the most sense for us. So again, we talked about earlier, I may see a gym that's an hour away from my house. It's a beautiful, wonderful gym. And they might have, a great coach or even a decent coach there, and I want to go see him. But the reality is I have to look at it and say, am I really going to commute 2 hours to the gym just to see this coach? And for most of us, the answer is probably not. Now, maybe this coach is right next door. Like the gym is in your neighborhood. It's not far away, but the coaches just aren't that good. look for another coach. Maybe they have some classes there, but you do some of the classes and none of them really are fun. And maybe the people in the class are a little cold. Find more classes. Okay. There are other solutions, and you shouldn't just give up on I tried the accountability route and it didn't work. Because the reality of this is if you find the right people, the accountability is better. So a better coach is going to provide better accountability. A better group, a better set of peers is going to provide more accountability and make it better. So if it didn't work before, all I'm going to say is you probably picked the wrong accountability partners. Don't be afraid to start again, but this time find the right ones. Don't go back to those same things. Don't try to do those same things. It failed. Don't repeat the 3-week loop. Quit. Find the right partners to start, and then you can move forward from there. Now, for me, the interesting thing was quitting was the right thing to do. When I was seeing blood in the toilet because my blood pressure was spiking, quitting training at that point in time was the right thing to do. But I really, the end of it is the reason that this stretched out as long as it did is I just really didn't have that plan. I didn't look at my own model and say, okay, what's missing? I, as a trainer at the time, would have said, okay, I need to go back and get accountability so I can get back in the gym and lift heavier and do more. And that was the exact opposite of what I should do. So sometimes finding the right people to put in that leader role, providing the guidance and providing the support, will be the ones to tell you this is not a time to push. This is a time to recover. This is not a time to work. This is a time to heal. And so you want to make sure that you're not pushing in the wrong direction to solve a problem that's not the first problem. That's not the thing you need to do right now. So quitting for me at that point for lifting was the right thing. But what I didn't do is I didn't take the next step and say, well, what is the right thing? Because it wasn't just continuing to do what I was doing otherwise, because that was not helpful for what was actually going on in my world. So the starter of where people say try harder isn't really the answer. It's the stop, reset, think about what you want. Why do you want this? And then stepping forward. Now, that's not really built into this part of the model, but it will be available if you download that guide at 40plusfitness.com/stick. The second part of this is a little bit deeper into that kind of general concept. Okay. Now, the point about the map is, I'm just going to say this, you have to make it your own. Like I said, there's going to be the right coach, right leaders for you. There are going to be the right groups and peers for you. Find them, use them, stick with them. Now, one of the more interesting things about the model is that this is no straight line. We don't just keep getting better. There are trips and falls, there's tribulations, and there's great moments of success. Okay. Being successful doesn't mean you fire your coaches, quit your groups, and go do it all on your own. In fact, that's a good time to sit, reflect, and decide where do you want to be and what do you want to do. Maybe hire a new coach. Maybe that coach is done. And, you look at professional athletes and, they have a coach when they're in high school, and that coach is not the coach that they need when they get to Division I. They get to Division I, they've got coaches, a group of coaches, but those are not the coaches they need if they go pro. Okay, so over time, what you end up with is you're seriesing through various coaches. And then if there's a circumstance, like an injury or a fallback, You're finding the coaches that can support you there. Now, the social structure in the social accountability, that can somewhat remain the same, but I can tell you that most people that make it to professional athletics don't have the same friends that they had when they were in high school. Not even the same players that they had on their team are necessarily even in their lives anymore. Why is that? Because they've grown up as people. They've become somebody different. And that's a big part of the motivation map is, as you go through it, you're becoming a different person. Now, I'd say it, I've said it like this several times, and I think this is the easiest way to kind of wrap your head around this. Maybe you start going for walks with your sister. Okay. Over time, maybe your sister and you decide, okay, let's jog to that fence post, and you do a little jog to the fence post, and now you're enjoying that. So each successive walk, you're maybe doing a little bit more of the jogs. And then over time, maybe the jogs are more than the walks out of that 30 minutes. And you decide to yourself, hey, why don't we do a 5K? They're going to have a 5K in a couple months. Let's train for that and go do that. And you get out there and you do that 5K, and there's all these people around you. Great, great, great social accountability, okay? And you get out there and you do the run, and you get the medal, and you get the banana and the water. It all feels good. Everybody's at a party. There's live music. It's a great time at this 5K, and you're hooked. You want to do the next one. You're already thinking how I'm going to sign up for the next one. Now you're buying the shoes, better shoes. The things you learned from that first one, you're implementing, and you're continuing to do the now more running than walking. Maybe you join a running group because you want to pick up your pace, work a little bit harder, make a little bit more progress. And now you begin to build the habits and values, and you begin to think of yourself as a runner. Now, for a lot of people that have never run, the thought of setting your alarm at 5 o'clock in the morning to get up and go for a run is bizarre. Why would I do that? But if you're a runner, you don't even think about it. You go to bed, the alarm's set. It goes off. You're in your running shoes and shorts before you're even maybe fully awake. And you're running because runners run. That's what they do. They don't think about it. And if they can't run because maybe there's an injury or the weather, there are times and places where the weather is enough, but sometimes not. But for the most part, yes, there's times they can't run, and I can tell you they are jonesing. They want to get out and do the run. And so this is when they invest in a treadmill. So at the very least, they can sit down and start running on that treadmill. They hate it, but they want to run, so they run. That's identity. That's what we're trying to build with the motivation map, is this bridge through from accountability to self-management to values and habits that become your identity. And when you change your identity, a lot of times that is going to somewhat require you to change the people in your life. It might be a different coach. I tell people all the time, I'm a really good coach at getting you started and getting you stronger and getting you healthier. If you decide you want to go running or long bike rides or other boxing or climbing or any of those, I am not a running coach. I know how to run. I know how to coach running a little, but I would not put myself out as a running coach. I am not a bike coach, a cycling coach. I would not put myself out there as that. I am not a climbing coach. In fact, I barely climb out of bed. So I'm not your coach if you want to get into climbing. There are coaches for that. So again, opportunities for you to get what you need, and you put that in place, and now you're a better climber. So not only do you identify as a climber, now I think there's some ratings in the types of places that you're climbing. You're able to do this, you're able to do that. Maybe, I know in tennis there's a rating system. Not really totally familiar with it. I think a 4 is supposed to be really good. It's been a long, long time. But generally, there are ratings for people in these different things, and there's people will increase distance on run, they'll increase speed on run, all kinds of different things that put you in a different class. And as a result, you're probably going to need a different coach. You're probably not going to be running with your basic run team that you did. You're going to be maybe running with different people in the group because your pace is improved, your distance is improved, and you need something different than the casual Tuesday night stroll that a lot of the runners are doing. And again, they're runners too. They're just a different level. And as you go through the levels and then maybe the setbacks, you pick and choose what you need for support, and you just keep cycling through this, and you keep this model working for you day after day. So again, I strongly encourage you to go out and check out that freebie that I put out there, that guide. You can go to 40plusfitness.com/stick. Okay, so this guide is called the Motivation Map Plus 21-day plan to make it stick, or something like that. Okay, and so it's out there. You can go to 40plusfitness.com/stick. We talked about the motivation map today, and we'll be talking a lot about that 21-day plan, about how you make it stick, getting through the 3-week loop. We're going to talk about that in a couple weeks. Really happy to say next week we have the founder of Nerd Fitness here. His name is Steve Kemp. He's got a new book coming out called How to Start Again, How to Try Again. So very apropos to what we're talking about today. I'm not going to call it a series because Steve and I didn't talk about it being a series, but I've laid out this episode so you kind of have that baseline for building. Steve's going to provide some great insight into how to look at failure, how to look at quitting, because we still might do it. We just got to get back faster. And so Steve's got a lot of good ideas and tools there. It's a great book, How to Try Again. It's coming out next week. You should check it out. But again, if you need anything, I'm Coach Allan. I'm here to help you. Good news is it was stage 3, and now we're treating that to make sure it doesn't spread, which so far it hasn't. Again, thank you for anyone that reached out. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And then again, what we're here to do is to get out of this loop, and we're here to turn it into basically something that works for us and keeps us supported and keeps accountability and support and self-efficacy together, where we have somewhat of a permanent built identity that provides unlimited, never dies motivation. And so we go from a point of wishing we had motivation and watching it fade week 3 to having permanent motivation. And anyone that you talk about that says you just need to have discipline, this is what they're talking about. It's not that it's discipline. Discipline is the wrong word. The reality is they've built identity, and identity keeps you in the hunt all the time. We have to build that. That takes action, and the action works across the motivation map from accountability, some self-management stuff to make it easier to do what we want to do, harder to do the things we don't. And then we build the habits and values over time, and we build the identity. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we meet Steve Kemp and discuss his book, How to Try Again, an approachable guide to navigating chaos and making change that sticks.